right. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. I have one of our show favorites, Greg Mannarino. We're going to be talking about the U.S. economy, the Biden economics, this White House administration telling us one thing, but we're feeling it differently in our wallets. Greg, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me back. Love your show. Love being here. Thank you again.
So, I want to get your thoughts on this. I've been reading as I research that when the Federal Reserve Bank finally drops interest rates, there's going to be a flood of money into the stock market. Some worry that this could be really good. Others worry that it's just going to inflate already inflated stock assets. What are your thoughts on as we move into 2024? How are you positioning your own money?
Well, everybody knows that follows my work. What I'm doing, I'm buying this market. I've been buying this market for a long time. I'm buying more of it. I think they are going to do whatever they need to do to prop up the stock market. It's already a big, fat, ugly bubble. It started that way years ago. It's worse than ever now. The driver of the market, which is the debt market, is being hyperinflated beyond anyone's wildest dreams. Suppressed rates have the effect of opening a doorway into the stock market, allowing cash to flow into equities, inflating a bubble which is beyond anyone's wildest dreams. And look, the market is completely fake. It has no bearing on reality. There's no price discovery mechanism behind a single asset today, and that is again because of the action of the Federal Reserve, which has gone wild, and it's all deliberate. They're inflating. The central banks of the world, none more so than the Fed. I mean, none more so than the Fed. They're serial bubble blowers. They blow these bubbles and they allow them to deflate. And what people don't understand is this mechanism here makes more money for the corporate investors, the bigwigs, than any other mechanism, bar none. More cash is made when markets fall than when they rise. And again, how this it's just a wealth transfer effect is, people go crazy and they get caught up in the fear of missing out. They jump in on the bandwagon here. They're not like, let's say, I'm not like most people. I have access to get my money out of the market when I have to in a nanosecond. Most people have to go through a broker, blah, 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 blah. I'm not, I tell people, don't, you got to understand what you're looking at and what you're doing here. I believe, and I've been saying this for months now, that the Federal Reserve is going to do several things. Number one is going to keep rates suppressed for as long as they possibly can. They're going to dump dollars, which they are. They're going to buy foreign currencies, which they are, to weaken the dollar. This is how all central banks manipulate currency and try to weaken their currency. They dump their own and they buy others, okay? And this mechanism here is massively stock market positive. I mean, we heard from the Federal Reserve, the last FOMC meeting here, no change. Then we got this miraculous inflation report. There's no more inflation. Inflation is gone. You know that, right? That's what they're trying to sell us now. And the market went crazy off of that yesterday, off of a flat report, really nothing. And this mechanism again, there's another facet to this that people don't understand, and we'll cover that just right now. Year-end stock price is how the CEOs and the management of the corporations get paid their bonuses. So the Federal Reserve generally, the end of every year, there's the Santa Claus rally. They prop up the stock market so the big wigs can get their multi-million-dollar year-end bonuses. It's a mechanism. It's a game that they play. And that is another reason why we're seeing action here in the debt market. Yesterday was incredible. We watched a debt buying spree unlike anything I think we've seen in a really long time. We saw the 10-year yield drop at 20 basis points. It was an incredible move. And the dollar literally fall off of a cliff on a relative strain basis, and we watched the stock market take off. I mean, it's a very simple mechanism to understand. Suppressed rates, as we said, cause cash to move into the stock market. A weaker dollar on a relative strain basis is also stock market positive. These mechanisms are in place right now. They're going to remain that way. I sincerely believe this through the end of the year. I'm buying the market. I've been net long this market for an extremely long period of time. It's fake. It's not real. So you play the game. They can play their game. We're going to play our game too. At the same time, what we're going to do, very simply, is you got to get diversified here. You got to own hard assets, physical gold, silver, my favorite asset of all time. I've outlined this a million times as to why. We can cover it if you want to. I think people do need to have some cryptocurrency in their portfolio. I think people need other things too, collectibles, as you and I were talking about earlier today. I invest in artwork, musical instruments, classic cars. You got to be kind of spread out. But if you can't be spread out, if you only have enough capital to invest in one thing, people that follow my work will know what I'm going to say, and that would be silver. I think physical silver, is the most undervalued asset in the world. And I don't just come up with that out of my head. I base that upon looking at the Dow Jones Industrial Average gold ratio and the gold silver ratio, understanding that the Dow is in la land, realizing that at one point this is going to come down fiercely. But people, again, they're looking in the wrong spot. You turn on CNBC, Bloomberg, Fox Business, all they want people to do is focus on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. They're not talking about the driver. The driver of the market is the debt market, and that's where the real meltdown is going to happen again. But at a time of their choosing, and you and I and everyone that follows our work is going to pay for this in the form of surging inflation. Inflation is going much higher from where we are now. And the fakery, the distractions, however they're going to twist this on the mainstream media to tell people that what they're seeing and feeling is not real, as you alluded to earlier, that mechanism is going to get worse.
Wow. Okay. So you have to look at it as just playing a game right now, a game that they're trying to rig, that they're trying to push people in the direction they want. Is just so that I can understand, are they trying to weaken the dollar to push people into the stock market? Or are they trying to weaken the dollar just to put America on a level playing field with the rest of the globe?
There's a lot of we have to look at it from two perspectives. You have to look at the dollar on a relative strength basis, meaning comparative, okay, and on an absolute strength basis. On an absolute strength basis, I mean, this just came out today, as a matter of fact. It's kind of interesting. In 2 years, according to data here, the purchasing power, which would be the absolute strength of the dollar, is down 15%. Some people would argue that it's a lot more than that. That's just in September 2021. Yes, September 2021. Now, that obviously plays a role in people's lifestyles here, and people don't consider what it means, and people look at inflation and they don't understand why is it that something has gone up in price. It's not that it has become worth more, as the dollar's purchasing power has been stolen, and this mechanism is going to get worse, obviously, being that we are now financing wars everywhere. The mechanism to pull more cash into the now is massively inflationary, but people aren't supposed to know that, of course. Now, on a relative strength basis, on a comparative strength basis, if people want to know how to follow that, they can look at what's called the DXY, DXY. A nation the stock market of any nation will benefit from a weaker currency. So what the Federal Reserve is doing here, and I've been telling people they were going to do it, now that they actually are, is kind of in our face, obviously, by weakening the dollar on a relative strength basis. It's another mechanism to push cash into the stock market. Why are they so hell-bent on this? It's pretty simple. The stock market maintains an illusion. A very, very powerful illusion for people. People that are invested in the market, okay, first of all, when they see their 401ks, their investment plans going up, they love it. It makes them feel happy and warm and cuddly inside, until it all goes away, and then they wonder what happened. It's always the same story.
Yeah.
But the market being higher, it's a trick. And it convinces people that don't know any better that the economy is strong. But nothing could be further from the truth here. As a matter of fact, what we're going to see is a phenomenon that we've been seeing for quite a long time. The worse the economic news gets, the higher the market's going to go. Why? The market is anticipating a lot more easy money, suppressed rates, rate cuts moving forward, which I sincerely believe is being set up right now on the back of the inflation data that we've been getting over the past day or two here. So I really believe that's in the cards. It's coming out. It's going to happen. because they got the consumer by the throat already. The consumer's done. Unfortunately, the consumer keeps on taking on more debt, despite the fact that debt defaults across the board. I mean, you name it: personal debt, household debt, consumer debt, credit card debt. Defaults are skyrocketing. People continue to take on more debt, a phenomenon that, again, I outlined years ago would happen as this new neo-feudal system emerges. Prior members of the middle class are going to, try to borrow their way into prosperity, and all they're doing is, destroying themselves. But we're seeing this phenomenon unfold because it's happened before, but never to this degree. This is something that's completely different. So there are so many facets to this going on. The corporate agenda here crushed the small businesses. The Federal Reserve has effectively cut off funding or credit to small businesses here. We're seeing small businesses shutter at their fastest pace ever, more so than the financial crisis, more so than the scamdemic. But being told again that everything is fine. Meanwhile, a couple of things just happened. The U.S. debt just got downgraded, outlook to negative here. Oh, that really got Janet Yellen angry, the current Treasury Secretary. I don't know if you heard what come out of her mouth. That thing came out yesterday, and it is a thing. She feels like it's unfair because the United States economy is strong and it's liquid. Meanwhile, what just happened to the U.S. Treasury? The U.S. Treasury just went bankrupt. They had to be re-liquefied. Who bought their debt? I'm going to give you one guess. It's the Federal Reserve to re-liquefy the U.S. Treasury. We're broke. We're bankrupt. But this is the game they're playing: the deceptions, the distractions, the look here, the don't look over there. But I think people that follow our work, honestly, are way too smart to fall for any of this stuff.
Yeah, well, that's why I have some gold and silver, because if this debt defaults, or they decide one day, oh, we're not going to liquefy, the entire U.S. Treasury, then we're all in trouble. Let me switch gears with you, Greg. You're a really smart guy. You study the market a lot. In what ways, if any, have you seen Biden's Inflation Reduction Act actually make things more affordable for the middle class? I keep looking, I cannot find it, and yet the White House says I'm the problem.
Of course, look, just think of the insanity of this. They sold this thing to the people, telling, okay, we're going to put forth this act. It's going to cost X amount of dollars to do it, and they're going to reduce inflation. No, it's had the opposite effect on it. And this is, again, how they laugh in our face. There's no way that the Inflation Reduction Act was going to cause inflation to drop at all. As a matter of fact, where's the proof of it? Inflation continues to rise. They can fist feed us whatever they want here. The actual rate of inflation is around 23 or 24%. They're trying to tell us actually, we are not inflating anymore, right? Which is a complete lie. And I love that too, because again, you, me, and pretty much, I would imagine, every living soul that is watching this video does go to the store, buys things, watching not only the price of things rise, but the packaging is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And then they think we don't notice it. Oh no, they don't know it. They're too stupid to see it. No, there's no way. Look, it's all a game here, what they're doing, and the central banks are pulling the strings, and they're gonna create. Look, central banks have only one product. Their product is debt, and without the issuance of more debt, the system dies. Their system dies. I've been telling people since, I don't know, for over 10 years, you want to kill a central bank? You want to kill the entire central banking system? It's very simple to do. Prevent let's say the Federal Reserve. Let's prevent the Federal Reserve from issuing $1 of debt, just $1. If we could prevent that from happening, the entire central bank system collapses on itself. It would start a domino effect and take down every central bank in the world, because their system depends on relentless debt being pulled into the system in greater and greater amounts. It can't remain static. Let me say this too, for the people that are listening, in case they don't know. We are right now in a full-blown, full-on liquidity crisis. Cash is drying up globally at its fastest pace ever. Do people really think, let's just put this together, it's just a coincidence that we have war expanding, the propagation of war, more funding for war. We can't fund the government, or they did come up with a stopgap measure yet again to kick in the can down the road. Okay, yeah. Lovely. But there's no coincidences here. The reason why we're seeing war here, and expansion of war right now, is because without this mechanism pulling cash into the now, creating reasons out of nothing to fund whatever they want to fund, this whole system collapses in on itself, because again, it's 100% debt based. So what they're doing here is they're temporarily liquefying the system, but all this is doing is exacerbating the underlying problem. Understanding that debt must be pulled into the system in greater and greater amounts. Once this thing runs its course, there must be something else, or the system will melt down. What they're doing here is dismantling the current system, piece by piece by piece, and they're going to issue in a new system, which they'd had already. For a central bank. Look, I urge people to do this, and don't just listen to what I'm saying, actually do what I'm saying here. Go to the website for the Bank of International Settlements, the central bank of central banks. Look at their mission statement. Their mission statement is to create a one world currency, a digital currency cross-border, where they have full control over. This is where we are going. That is the new system. And I mean, look, the truth is always hidden in plain sight. I tell people that all the time. You just got to know where to look for it. You're never going to hear this stuff anywhere else. Thank goodness for shows like yours, because people will get this kind of information that they're never going to get anyplace else.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, it's scary times that we live in, just because the numbers are so much bigger and the speed is so much faster. This morning on Yahoo Finance, hedge fund manager Kathy Woods said that she believes 2024 will be a year of deflation, where she believes the costs of goods and services are going to come down. Is she talking about stuff at the grocery store, or is she strictly looking at this through the lens of good buys in the stock market?
I think she's talking about good buys in the stock market more than likely. But let me say this as well. Depending on what they're able to pull off here, okay, risk in this market since the last FOMC meeting has cratered. We watched the 10-year yield drop. We watched the relative strength of the dollar fall. And that tells us that risk has dropped. If, in fact, the central banks can be crafty enough to keep this scheme, let's put it this way, the longer they're able to keep risk at bay, the higher the market's going to go. We, of course, are going to get up and down movements, a random walk here. But more than likely, if they are successful, until they're ready to pull the plug. And when they're ready to pull the plug, we're going to know it, because we're going to see the 10-year yield rise very, very rapidly. We're going to see the dollar here start to evaporate further. And how are we going to know that? The purchasing power on a real-time basis, meaning its purchasing power will evaporate. We'll see more inflation as well. They can't stop it. All they can do is try to push it off and then lie. But as long as the Federal Reserve and other central banks collectively band together to try to keep rates suppressed, it's going to push the stock market higher, despite what's going to happen to the economy. The economy, we could be at a dead standstill. For example, when they shut down the world economy during COVID, okay, I made a statement that people could not believe. My statement was, get long COVID. I told people to buy the market. Okay, and I was told, Greg, you're leading people to the slaughter. The market's going to crash. How can the market go higher if they shut down the economy? Well, they can do whatever they want. Doesn't matter. We can have a dead economy. They could shut it all down at the end. The market will go higher if it thinks that more easy money is going to be pumped into it. It's all about risk. I mean, it's just a cause and effect. I think people right now, okay, and I want people to do their own research on this. Don't take my word for a damn thing I'm saying. Think about it. I think people should expect, especially in light of the year-end rally in the market, because, again, the Fed props up the market pretty much every freaking year so the big fat cats can get their bonuses. We need to be long this market here. As long as they're keeping risk at bay. All right, and we can see this by looking at the 10-year yield, looking at the dollar strength. And on my website, the traderschoice.net, I have an indicator. I created it myself. It's called the MMRI, Mannarino Market Risk Indicator. It's color-coded. It's very simple to understand. If they can keep that low or be out of high risk zone, which we just went from extreme risk in the red zone to now into an orange zone or less risk here, the market will go higher until it doesn't. And until it doesn't moment is when central banks say we're done. And I don't believe they are done. I think they're going to still suppress rates. They're going to buy more debt. The goal of every central bank is to own it all. I mean, to be the lender and buyer of last resort. That's what they have been put in place for. And again, the more debt that they issue, the stronger they become, not weaker. If you remember, that was something that was going around a while back.
Yeah.
Oh, so-and-so is trying to bankrupt the Fed. It can't happen. The more debt a central bank is called on to issue, or for example, keep rates suppressed or go negative or a weak dollar, the stronger the Fed becomes. Nothing gets a central banker, makes them happier than to hear that kind of thing, because that's how they gain power, not lose it.
Okay. So really quickly, you're saying the central bank wants power. They want to own everything. The World Economic Forum is saying you'll own nothing and be happy. Are these central banks and the World Economic Forum working behind the scenes together to bankrupt the average person so that they can enslave us and control us?
100%. Dude, you just nailed it to the wall. You nailed it to the wall. They are creating slaves to the system. The more people that they can make dependent on the current system, the easier it is for them to issue their new system. They are making people so dependent on the system right now. They want people to fall from the middle class into the lower rung of society. This is a neo-feudal system. Overlords and everybody else, this is what they're doing. And this process has been going on for a very long time. I've been telling people for 10 years, if they're a member of the middle class, they have a target tattooed on their face and they can't get it off unless they come up with some plan to do it here. They're being destroyed from within. This whole thing is a mechanism to destroy them and to make them slaves to the system. It sounds like science fiction, but it's real. And I think people are starting to see it. And there's a bunch of people that want to be taken. Here's the thing. There are people that want this. There are some people that want to be taken care of from cradle to grave. They don't care if they have to live in a shotgun shack. They don't care. They want to be taken care of. They feel that the job of the government is to take care of them. And like I said, they don't care if they live in a box. They don't care if they live in a room this size with 10 people living in it. They don't care. They want it. They want to be taken care of. And unfortunately, I think that's where we're going here. You will have nothing and you will appreciate it. You're going to get kicked in the face and you're going to like it too. And that's what's going on, honestly. It's a terrible thing to see.
Wow. One of the tragedies that I'm seeing is the mistreatment of American citizens through financial mechanisms, also through abusive taxation. It seems like they want to give ultimate power to the IRS to dictate every dime we spend, track it, suck their little part off of it. Every little thing that we make, everything that we do, everything that we trade, everything that we inherit, they want a piece. They want a bite of that apple. But on top of that, we're watching abusive measures. Just yesterday, it was announced that taxpayers, you, me, everybody watching this show, we're going to be on the hook for $451 billion to take care of the 8 million illegal immigrants that have snuck into the country. Now, I know we need immigration. You have to have a constant flow of people, but to lay that at the feet of the American people, that's 4 Russia-Ukraine wars combined every year. And that number is only going to get bigger. Who pays for this? How did they pay for this? More printed money?
Mm-hmm. That's it. Look, this whole thing, the illegal immigration, whatever they have to do to give them an excuse to pull cash into the now is what they're going to do. This is a mechanism. It's across the board. It's not going to stop. They're going to come up with, I've been telling people forever, they're going to come up with things you can't believe, things you can't even have a nightmare about, to try to keep the system liquid. And all it's doing, again, is drying up. And it gives them an excuse to print more cash out of thin air, or it just added to a digital screen. They don't want to print any more cash. And in fact, the new system is going to be, going back to what you said with regard how they want a piece of everything, that they want to know exactly what you're doing. There's going to be no such thing as taking out a $5 bill and tipping someone without the bank knowing about it, without the Federal Reserve knowing about it. This is why they're going to this new system, 100% digital. They can track every single 10,000th of a cent that you spend. It's about control. It's all going to be gone. And I think, again, unfortunately, some people are all for it. I happen to be grossly opposed to it, but I don't think there is a way to stop it. Unfortunately, I really don't.
Yeah, that's my worry is, I don't know that what we can do other than do our best to live within the system. These are the puppet masters that really control everything. I mean, most people don't realize that like the top 5% own over 50% of the stock market. So if that very small percent makes one change, it can completely wipe out your retirement. It could bless your retirement. They are in full control of that system. The federal government is even at the mercy of these central banks. Because I keep thinking, why on earth would Jerome Powell continue to give the federal government money? They've been downgraded. They're spending more than they're taking in. Every 3 months, I'm having to report we've run out of money. That your Social Security is at risk, your Medicare is at risk. I hope whoever's in charge does the right thing. I mean, it's just fear, fear, fear all the time placed on our shoulders.
Well, the Federal Reserve is the government. They dictate the rules. The Federal Reserve controls the economy. They control the financial markets. They control the financial system. So they call the shots. We don't have any representation anymore. It's over. Whatever we say doesn't matter anymore. I don't think there's a single person who really, literally, who's watching this right now who will say that they actually feel like they have representation in government, because they don't. We're being destroyed. We're being exterminated on a literal scale here, on a grand scale. And it's not going to stop either here. But look what they've done. There's a lot of people making noise about it, like you and me and other people too, trying to raise awareness. But people don't, for the most part, other than the people that are watching our work, and we're only a fraction of the population, care. Most people don't know they're being distracted, they're being deceived, they're being told to look here, their lives are being dictated to them via the tell, lie vision, that they're being programmed. It's literally what it is. I am shocked still that shows like yours, shows like mine, and a lot of other guys and girls out here who are trying to get this stuff out, that we're allowed, that this is even allowed. I think they're going to cut this all off at 1.2 every day. Every single day I wake up and I say, is this the day they're going to shut down my channel? Is this the day? Because we're enemy. We are public enemy number one. They don't want us thinking. They don't want us sharing this kind of information. They don't, God forbid, have groups of like-minded people that are together. They want to keep us separated by any mechanism that they can. They want to create hatred. They want to create fear, as you just alluded to. They want people confused, and they want their narrative to be heard and no other narrative. So you and me and the people that are listening to this right now, we are a direct threat. And I'm just wondering how long they're going to allow this to go on. I really do.
Yeah. I've been seeing more and more suppression in my analytics. So I agree. I think the day is coming when they could shut us down. I want to leave people on positive. I hate to be a truth teller because the truth is really scary right now. But some ideas, and I think you'll agree that people can take control of their own economy, is be wise about your debt, avoid it the best that you can. There's ways to get out of debt faster than you know. So research that. Buying gold and silver puts you outside of the system, right? They can't as easily manipulate the price of gold and silver because it is such a large global asset class. Be wise. Listen to smart voices like Greg and others that are telling you right now is likely a buying opportunity, but you're buying within a bubble, and it is a game, and you need to know the rules. You need to know how your opponent is playing. So there are ways to make money. There are ways to shed that debt. There are ways to still get ahead, but it comes down to wisdom and knowledge. And so that's why I like having people like you on the show, because even though this stuff is hard to swallow, it's scary. I'm sure some people are like, I can't take this today. I'm bouncing. They need to know this so that they can make smart decisions with their money. Is there anything else that you want to leave people with before
Yeah.
we wrap up?
Absolutely. Look for the trapdoors that they set for all of us. They again, they want to make you a slave to the system. Stop borrowing and get yourself out of debt. I have it's 100% free. I have a narrated ebook, how to get yourself out of debt. Just Google it. And I walk people through step by step of how to get themselves out of unsecured debt, like credit card debt, for pennies on the dollar, how to fix their credit. I just want people to take advantage of it. I have helped thousands and thousands and thousands of people from all over the world to get themselves on the right track here. So understand, don't fall for the traps that they're putting there for you. Realize that we're not each other's enemies. Realize that we are one family, and we all need to care about each other, love each other, not despise each other and hate each other and want each other to die, because that's how they win here. Okay, so don't let yourself become a slave to their system. Realize that we're not each other's enemies here. If we could all adapt that kind of an attitude, I think we can change the world. It's got to start somewhere. So it might as well start from us. But at the same time, we have to also think about what we need to do to protect ourselves from the current system, which is out of control. And that is, again, I don't sell gold or silver, but I think, and I've been telling people this forever, I still think you need some of this in your, how a fraction of the people actually hold physical gold and silver, a fraction. If we could get more people to hold this stuff, I think people would feel a lot better off. Anyway, so I'll leave you off with that. And I got my dog barking.
Well,
he's agreeing. Yes.
yes, he's agreeing. Go take care of yourself. Greg, I appreciate you coming on. You give great advice. I'll get this video out. If people want to continue to follow you, what's the best way to do that?
Go to my website, Google me. I'm pretty much easy to find.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.